everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We were intending to do this as a live Facebook, but we were both a little technically challenged. So instead, we are doing this via Zoom. We're going to record it and then put it out there for all of you to see. So, Kristen, thank you so much for being here with me today. Let's take a quick minute and introduce ourselves. I'm Donna Cates, and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst and financial strategist for women in transition. And I'm definitely thrilled to be joined today by Christin Becker, who's a phenomenal divorce recovery coach. And we're going to be diving into something today that so many experience in divorce, and that's decision fatigue, that feeling when you're just done making decisions and there's still so much at stake. So, Kristen, introduce yourself and give us your feedback.
Yes. Hi, ladies. And thank you for pivoting with us on this other platform. So we'll share it. I am Christin, and I'm a certified divorce recovery coach. And yes, that overwhelming feeling of fatigue and emotions that come with divorce. That's what this is. It's very difficult and it can cloud our judgment. Today, we're here to show you that you don't have to go it alone. Having someone to support you through decision making and finding clarity is really important. And there's a real smart way to slow down, breathe, and help make clear decisions without losing yourself or your future security in this process. So what is decision fatigue? I did want to share a definition of what decision fatigue is. It's the mental and emotional exhaustion that builds up after making too many decisions, especially under stress. Imagine a divorce. That's exactly what that is. So when you're having to make decisions about where you're going to live, custody, am I going to get an attorney? Do I go through mediation? You're spinning. Nobody gets married to have a divorce. So when that happens, the overwhelm is pretty difficult and can create some fatigue. So decision fatigue, how does that impact your brain? This is really important. Foggy brain. Some of us still are stay-at-home moms, but some of us also work outside the home, and you're trying to still function at a high functioning place, doing your work, but you've got all this other stuff going on behind. So you can have this foggy brain happening. It's difficult to focus and find that energy and clarity for what you need to do. The other thing is it can create impulsive decisions because you're trying to make it quicker, or you'll have decisions where you're just going to avoid making decisions. So both of those are two things that can happen with the brain. Another thing is increased emotional reactivity. We just react because we're exhausted. We're short-tempered with our kids, with our spouse, not our spouse, because that's our situation, our friends, family, work environment. Physically, we become exhausted. We're already tired, but that emotional drain makes us exhausted. And we can't sleep. So it disrupts our sleep patterns because our brain won't quiet down while we're trying to sleep. And that can create stress-related symptoms such as like headaches. Our immunity can be compromised, so we can get sick easier. So how can we combat some of this? I think it's really important to learn how to focus on what you can control in this process. And I work with my clients on that quite a bit, is letting go of those pieces that we can't control. This is happening. You are going through a divorce, but letting go of how your spouse is reacting or responding to things and focusing on what you can do to better it. Prioritizing rest and self-care. And also break this into small steps. You're not climbing that mountain. You don't have to climb the mountain today. Take those little steps and you will get there. And having that support system of someone like Donna with financial questions, or myself for that emotional support, can give you the resources that you need in order to get through something that's really hard. But remember, you're not climbing that mountain today, and slowing down that process and creating routines whenever possible. So that's a little bit about the divorce fatigue and decision fatigue. So how does that impact financial decisions?
I'm so glad that you asked. And I want to share this with you, ladies. Everything that Kristen just said is real. Stress is real. And I'm actually working with a client. She's engaged with me for divorce financial planning right now. We were to meet last Friday. I didn't hear from her. She got back with me on Monday to tell me that she was in the emergency room on Thursday night because she had a heartbreak heart attack. And that's literally what they called it. And it's from stress. And it's the
Hmm.
stress of divorce. So she's in a highly emotional situation. So that, what Kristen is talking about is real. So let me talk just a little bit about the impact of the financial decisions. Making financial decisions when you're exhausted and overwhelmed can be really dangerous. And that's what decision fatigue does. It just wears you down until you just want it to be over with. I don't know, who's where you are in the process, but I know that I see people all the time going through divorce. You're tired, emotionally drained, and then suddenly you're being asked to make all of these life-changing decisions. They're going to, affect your financials for decades, not just today, and that's a heavy load. So I want to walk you through just some of the few common money mistakes that I see when women are making decisions in this state. And trust me, these are more common than you believe. So number one, and we're just going to go over three. So this will just a little high level, but first is agreeing too quickly to settlement offers just to be done with it. I get it. You're
100%.
thinking, I just want peace. I want this to be over with. But the truth is rushing to sign that agreement without truly understanding what you're giving up can cost you thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. And I've seen women unknowingly give up things like pension benefits, equity in their home, retirement accounts, all of these things that they're legally entitled to simply because they were too tired to work for it. And I can't say this enough. The financial decisions have to be made. Once they're made, you will live with them. And that's why having someone on your team like Kristen as your divorce coach is going to be so empowering because she's going to help you manage that fatigue and that scarcity mindset and such. Okay, the second problem that I want you to hear about is withdrawing retirement funds for short-term needs.
Mm.
Now, divorce can create a cash crunch, there's no doubt, especially if you're going from a two household income or even a one household income, but now you got two houses. It's like, where the heck am I going to get money from to hire my attorney? You cover the legal fees, a new place to live, all of those types of things. But what I want you to do is slow down before you decide which bucket of money to pull assets from to fund things so that we're making informed decisions. If you decide to go pull money from your 401k right now, there are going to be tax consequences. You might get penalties if you're not already 59 and a half. There's buku of things that can go wrong. So we want to help you make smart choices about how you actually fund the divorce. And hear my heart when I say it's not an inexpensive endeavor, but every penny that you spend on the divorce when you're thinking logically will save you a ton of money down the road. So, with the third item is giving up assets out of guilt or overwhelm. I get it. Again, if we, especially when we have children or even high school age or younger children, we feel guilty about disrupting their lives. And divorce impacts everybody in the family, not just the kids. But the kids are more resilient than we give them credit for. We just have to walk the high road when we're traveling that path. But what you don't want to do is to make decisions about giving away your financial security just to make it easier for everyone. Because the reality is that's not buying you financial security or financial peace. It's literally just delaying the process, delaying the stress. And generosity is beautiful, but not when it puts you in a vulnerable position. So the truth is, and that I want every woman to hold close, is that when you're in survival mode, you're not in strategic planning mode. And I want to say it again, when you're in survival mode, you're not in strategy mode. If there's one time in your life when you need to be strategic, it is during divorce. And you deserve to make these decisions from a place of clarity and not chaos. So that's why we're hitting that pause button that Kristen's already talked about. We're going to talk more about what that is, but we got to surround ourselves with the right support and give ourselves permission to slow down. And that's not just a smart move, it's essential, because what we don't want to do is have these long-term decisions, or these short-term decisions have a long-term negative financial impact. So that's why we're here today, to help you press pause, breathe, and then get back in the driver's seat before you sign, settle, or sacrifice more than you should.
Yeah, no, I resonate with so much of what you're saying. And when you talk about the kids and wanting to get done, a lot of people don't realize that if you give up too soon and give away things, it will impact you and your children for a very long time, because you can't make that back up. So that's why it's really important to get all the information and know what your rights are. And when you have that empowerment, it's important. So I appreciate what you said. Um, I want to talk a little bit about, when you're going through a divorce, how your emotions often feel overwhelming. And there's a scientific reason for that. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't talk about this part of it, but the emotional center of our brain is the amygdala, which is in the back. And that's where, like, your brain's threat detection system is. It scans your environment for danger. So when you're going through these emotional things, you end up with physical responses, emotional responses, and you're going to reject things that your logical brain might not otherwise reject. So your prefrontal cortex is your logical brain. This is how we can manage our day on a regular basis. But when we're having an attack that's happening, all those emotional responses happen and it takes over the logic. And I just think it's really important to understand that that's a scientific thing that happens. And the emotions can hijack our logical thinking. And this is where it's important to have somebody kind of guiding you through it. And if we slow down and take a focus on giving yourself that pause before you're acting on something, go ahead. It's okay. You're going to have real feelings. Go ahead and feel those feelings. Divorce is hard. Divorce is hard. So go ahead and have those emotions. It's not what you planned for. Go ahead. And you have those grieving and different things, but allow for you to have those feelings and then move through them and back into your logical space. And by doing that, working with a coach like myself can help you get back into that logical thinking so you can then make decisions. If you make decisions in this very high emotional state, that's a reactive response. And when you do a reactive decision making, it's going to cost you money financially or cost you legal decisions and things that you might not have wanted to give up. So that big pause is really, really important. But like I said, go ahead and have the emotions, ways to get through those emotions, have them, journal during that time. Define what is the emotion you're feeling. Go ahead and write about it and actually really feel them. Name the emotion so that you know that I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling scared. What is it that you're feeling? And then you can talk to me about that. And then we can talk about, is that a real, or is that more of the what ifs and all the scarcity? Because fear is facing everything and rising, or fear could be something, face everything and run, fear of that. So I really work with my clients about that fear of being face everything and rising, because the more information you get about this process, the more confident you will become about the choices that you're making. Regulating before you decide, techniques like deep breathing, and taking that pause, taking that deep breath. I just had a client yesterday where she's coming home from the court, and it was very, very exhausting. She did get finally a temporary order she needed to get. But it was exhausting, and she just, her emotions were overrun. And I'm like, it's okay, feel it. Feel it. This isn't what you wanted. And she also was talking about, I didn't ask for this. We don't ask for this. Sometimes our spouse puts us in this place because of choices they made. We didn't sign up for that. So, but here we are, and we can get through it. And that's what we have to do. Taking a walk, removing yourself from the setting and finding a place where you can go. Somatic is a real big one for me. Like, it's a physical reaction. So you can stand up, put a song on that you like to dance to, and release an emotion. Here's a good one if you're really angry and just frustrated. We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. Play that loud and proud and dance out loud and sing. It's a really good release. And then all of a sudden you can get back into clarity of like, okay, I'm feeling it. So separate your emotion from your action. That's a really important thing. Have the emotions, but don't act on them until you're allowed to get in back into your logical brain. And I think that's just something that's really important. Divorce is not a race. It's a transition that deserves your careful, thoughtful attention. You didn't get here overnight. The marriage, divorce is not the beginning of the end. It's the end of the end and the beginning of a new chapter.
Mm.
So I think it's really important. A lot of people think, oh, no, it's not the beginning. This is where you got here. So it's not a race. Take the time to get all the information you need and find that there is a power in the pause. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack from what you just shared. So, and I want to share with you a recommendation that I had before from a life coach, and that was the literally giving myself 5 minutes for the pity party. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like calling it a pity party. You can call it whatever you like, but take the time to process those emotions, because if you just stuff them down, they're going to rear their ugly head at another time. So,
Mm-hmm.
and put a timer on if you have to.
Yeah,
But
that's a
let's
good idea.
do talk about something that I think, everybody needs during the divorce process. And this is what Kristen has called the pause plan. So, what is a pause plan? It's a simple but powerful strategy to literally help you slow down before making major decisions, especially those that are carrying financial or emotional weight. Because in the middle of this storm, sometimes the smartest move is to pause, and it's not natural. So,
No, it's
Kristen?
not. No, a pause plan is like a lifeline. It's like a chance to give your nervous system a chance to settle, allows you time for clarity and calm. I think it's really important. Not making decisions in a place of fear, out of guilt, or because you're tired. Don't make those decisions out of fatigue. And it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, recommending a quick mental checklist, like let's call it a game plan, like when something is having a game plan, when something like this comes up, is kind of what Donna and I have talked about.
Absolutely. And literally this game plan, this is what it might sound like. Number one, who can I call before making this decision? So you've got this big, huge, scary decision to make. You're frustrated, you're scared, whatever. You don't have to process it on your own. You don't have to process anything on your own, whether it's financial strategists like myself or Kristen, who's an emotional support system. You can lean on us for support. So get another set of eyes and ears on it.
Yes. And then another thing you might want to ask yourself is like, what's the financial and emotional impact of this choice or cost of this choice? And that's a big question that's going to matter all the way through this divorce. And sometimes it seems like a simple question, but giving up the house or dipping into the savings, like what you were talking about earlier, can carry deep consequences. So having that pause of what this will mean to you today, is different than what it might mean to you 3 years or 5 years or 10 years down the road. So thinking about that time and thinking it through, how will this impact me? And I think that's really important.
Wonderful. And another favorite is can this wait for 24 hours? Now, I'm going to say I work with a lot of women, and sometimes we might have this strategy when we're shopping. We're out, we go, "Ooh, I love it. Do I really need it? This wasn't what I was planning on spending money on. Let me give myself 24 hours to think about it." And if you still absolutely feel like you have to have it the next day, you go back and you buy it. So let's use that same strategy here and just say, can this decision wait another day? And I can't tell you how often this one question that you've paused and asked yourself, how many times it saved people from making hasty decisions that would give them a lot of regret. And time does give you clarity. And this is the important thing. Clarity gives you power. And that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. I think the pause plan isn't about dragging your feet. It's about allowing yourself space so that you can think, feel, and choose. We talked earlier, I spoke about responding versus reacting. Having that pause really allows yourself to respond, and it gives you a chance to process the information and or get more information. If you
Mm.
if you're in a mediation with somebody, you don't need to go, "Oh, that sounds really good. Okay, I'll sign right here." You don't have to do that. You can step back and go, "That sounds really good. Let me take some time on this so I can review it." There's nothing wrong with that. You don't want to make some of those decisions right in the moment of the heat because it's like it might be a reactive. You might not have thought everything through. So having the power of the pause allows yourself that time, and there's so much power in that.
And understand this, that when you're in those meetings, when you're in with attorneys, when you're in a mediation, you're in a trial, whatever the situation may be, you're going to be pressed and feel like you have to take fast action, but you don't. You own your space and you own your time. So I call it pulling up your big girl britches and just say, "Hey, time out. I need a moment." And
Right.
that's okay. So, and that's the magic of it. It's clarity before action always.
Yes, and support before burnout, support before fatigue. So having that information, it's really important.
And ladies, I want to encourage you to write that down somewhere. You'll see it when things feel urgent. I mean, 2 days from now, you may not remember this. So just get you a sticky note, put it on your refrigerator, your bathroom mirror, wherever you're gonna see it. And know that you are absolutely allowed to protect your peace while protecting your future.
Absolutely. And you don't have to figure this out alone. Let your pause plan be your first step toward regaining your control and doing this with intention, rebuilding with intention. This is the chance to take your next chapter. You didn't plan on this, but it does not define who you are as a human. This is going to be your steps taking towards your future, and you're going to learn from all the processes that you had. And I've always come from a place of making sure that we know the children are always watching. So if we
Mm.
take that pause, we can think about how we are going to be viewed by the children by our kids 3, 5 years from now, something like that. How did mom handle this divorce? So slowing down that process and understanding that you're not in a hurry. We want to do what's best. And I just think it's important to understand that there's a calmness that can take place when you have that clarity.
And what a compliment. I believe that you actually received a compliment like that, that you maintained the calmness through your process. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's a huge compliment.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I will tell you a personal experience that I had with a client. She was actually a counselor herself, so she had some good experience with strategy around this. But she had two sons, and they were young adults, teenagers, young adults, and they were both so mad at her. Everything was her fault. She was the bad guy. They didn't want anything to do with her. Daddy was the right one, and he was the hurt one, and the done wrong, all of the things. But she said she always took the high road. She never said, "Well, that's just your daddy," or that, whatever. She always took the high road. And 10 years later, both of her sons came back to her after having somewhat of an estranged relationship and said to her, Mama, we get it now. We understand.
I just got chill bumps. I think it's really important to recognize that you know who you are as a mom and you know what the truth is. And divorce brings out toxic. And so a lot of times moms know how to communicate to our children and we know how to like not throw people under the bus. We just know those things. So it's important. You can criticize behavior, but don't criticize the person. So
Correct.
I think that's important. And those are things that I help with. And do we make mistakes? We're human. But like you said, put your big girl britches back on and remember how we want to go through this process with clarity.
Yeah, because they are watching. So, we've talked a lot today about the weight of decision fatigue, and here's the truth. You don't have to untangle it alone. I think you've gotten that message. But this is what I do every day. I sit down with women just like you who are navigating overwhelming transitions, and we slow it all down. So we look at the big picture together and we sort through all the noise, all the numbers, the spreadsheets, all of this emotions and stuff, and then we make a plan that puts you back in control. Now, financial planning, especially during divorce, isn't just about those spreadsheets or asset division. That's what your attorney is going to be looking at. How do we take this apple and divide everything in half? We're going to look at that, but we're not going to look at it as a spreadsheet. We're going to look at it to help you feel steady and in control again. So when money is organized, now your mind can rest. And if you're feeling like you're drowning in these types of decisions, I want to invite you to schedule a discovery call with me. No pressure, no judgment, just a safe space to start making sense of it all. And Kristen is here to support you emotionally. Tell us about that.
Yes, I was just going to say when you feel emotionally overwhelmed and when you're second guessing everything, reach out for a consult call with me. That's where I come in. I have my clients do an intake form so that we can maximize that consult call. And I know your situation. Are you already started in this process? How many children do you have? Have you been a stay-at-home mom? So I can help maximize whatever your specific situation is. And as a divorce recovery coach, I unpack that emotional chaos. I always do this little triangle, and I know Donna's seen me do it. So divorce is 80% at the top, emotional, 10% legal, and 10% financial. A lot of people forget this piece, that whole top of the triangle. And when you can focus and find support on that piece, you will make emotionally sound financial decisions and emotionally sound legal decisions. And that's where I come in. I have resources like Donna, and I have legal resources, mediation, and different whole groups of different things I can reach out to you. I stay in my lane and work the emotions, but there's no prize for going it alone. You don't have to. And having somebody like myself who is an unbiased ear that understands this process, I'm not just going to sit in your corner and go, yeah, he's kind of an asshole. I'm not going to do that because I don't know him. I'm going to help you make decisions based on facts, based on how we come up with it and clarify what your questions are and what your needs are. I do offer a free consult call to identify what those ways are that I can help you. And here's something I want to kind of end with for me. Knowledge brings confidence. Confidence brings clarity. So when you're going through this process, of course, you don't have clarity. You have that emotional fatigue. You've never done this before. It's like a tornado. Slow it down, weather the storm, get your information so you can gain your confidence. And then your confidence can bring you that clarity that you're looking for.
And that's valuable advice for anyone. So you've got big decisions ahead and you're not meant to go it alone. So surround yourself with professional folks. Let us help you. And I really loved what Kristen said too about staying in your lane. You've got to hire the right professionals with the right skill set to help you with the different aspects, and she'll help walk you through those responsibilities or which lane everybody plays in, so that you're making making smart choices in who you're working with and who you're taking that advice from. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, this is the time for you to hit that pause button. And Kristen and I are here to help you regroup and rebuild, whether it's money, mindset, or both. We've got your back. So you're welcome to reach out to either of us. We'll have contact information in our recording here. So we hope this has been valuable to you. And remember that survival is not the goal, it's the thriving and rebuilding post-divorce. Kristen?
Absolutely. No, this is something I'm really happy that we did this today. And we pivoted, so we'll share the information with you. But I hope you find this valuable and we'll figure out how to do this again and share new information. Thank
Thank
you.
you.